Welcome to another episode of Wine Guide TV. My name is Ben Edwards, and this is Dan Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Very distinguished Dan Sims in a t-shirt. Very casual today, mate.
Well,
Very casual.
it's a casual thing,
Is that because we're heading west?
We're heading west. It's a nicer area over there.
Is it because they're pretty relaxed, pretty laid back?
Well, they're so happy. It's almost like disgustingly happy every time you go over there.
Because they get to surf and
they're in a good mood and they make good wine and, anyway.
Speaking of good wine, and it's a lovely segue, so thank you for that. What we're going to do is actually focus in on one single producer, and the reason we're doing this is because when you look at different producers around the country, they tend to be very good at one wine and then have weaknesses in other areas. Voyager Estate in the Margaret River, have no weaknesses. Full stop, and they make some beautiful wines. And
it's kind of funny when you come. It sounds like a really big call, but when you start to look at it and focus at it, and look at different levels and price points, they really are consistent all the way through.
They are consistent all the way through, and they also offer incredibly good value for money. The other thing too, let's be honest about it. Michael Wright, who's the man behind it, made a lot of money out of mining, the Hancock type thing, and so what you're seeing is the effect of almost unlimited resources and a great winemaking team and really good forward planning to be able to put together fabulous wines. Now, if you ever go to Voyager Estate, it's incredibly immaculately groomed, and it's exactly what the wines are like. So what we'll do is we'll start with the first wine, and the other thing about it too is that they really do capture the essence of Margaret River, because the things that we look at for Margaret River are Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blends,
definitely,
Chardonnay. Shiraz is a bit of a newcomer, and it keeps doing
a dark
very
horse,
well.
isn't it? So you don't sort of think it's on the radar, but all of a sudden you see and it pops up in tastings. You go, gee, that's really impressive.
And we know for a fact that Nick Stock, when he reviewed the in the Penguin Good Australian Wine Guide, the 07, that they sold out of it almost overnight. So people are looking for different styles of Shiraz, and I think Margaret River does that.
Absolutely.
And of course, there's the Cabernets and Cabernet blends. So all the Cabernet family does particularly well there. So we'll tee off. You taste the wine. I'll have a bit of a chat. Semillon Sauvignon Blanc. Now the home for Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blends is Bordeaux, but in Margaret River we make these lovely, fresh, crisp, zingy, zesty wines.
It's fresh, it's zingy, it's zesty. Funnily enough, you put words in my mouth, but it's a really lovely, fresh example. And when you look at it, it's just got that freshness and that zippy sort of, almost slight sort of Nestle character. But then it's got some palate weight, it's got some texture. It's a completely rounded wine. Yeah, and that sort of netty, slightly green, herbaceous, capsicum-y thing that people love in New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is actually there from the Semillon in Margaret River. It's how it reflects the terroir. Got to use those sorts of words. A beautiful wine, and I don't know that there are any better examples of Margaret River Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blends, and so this has got to be in the gold medal territory, which is, a default 95 points. I think we'll just leave it there. Beautiful wine, and it's all about texture as well. It's fresh, I said it's like that. It's almost like that light, medium-bodied sort of spectrum,
absolutely.
Easy drinking, rounded style wine.
It's not super simple. That's great. Now I know how much you love Chardonnay. Why don't you?
We love Chardonnay. What can we say? Margaret River Chardonnay. We've talked about Chardonnay quite a lot in sort of previous episodes. We talk about Yarra Valley, also New Zealand. Margaret River, we tend to find them that have a little bit more power and weight to it, almost that sort of grapefruity sort of element to it, that sort of freshness to it. But even within that power, there's a restraint with the wine as well.
Absolutely. And it's about the depth of fruit that you get. And interestingly enough to note, in this particular wine, it's 13.2% alcohol. So it's not particularly high, especially for Margaret River, where they can get right up there. And so this wine,
again, super fresh.
How do you feel right now tasting that wine?
I'm loving it. It's fantastic. I love Chardonnay, and we keep banging on about always buy Chardonnay. Chardonnay is so back, and that's a great example of how far we've come with that particular style.
It's mouthwatering.
It is.
It makes you salivate and makes you want to go back and have another glassful. Now, for me, that's spot on in terms of enjoyability.
Did you say pork belly?
I didn't, but I was thinking it. Don't start talking about food, we'll get hungry again.
95?
Easily a gold medal wine. And I suppose that gets back to the whole Voyager Estate rationale, and why we're doing this is that we get to look at these wines. Now, Chardonnay,
Shiraz.
but Shiraz is the dark horse, and I will talk. Or do you know? Why don't you talk about this? I'll have a taste.
Well, it's funny when we talk about Shiraz in Australia. We grow it everywhere. It's easily our most important wine ambassador internationally as well as domestically. We grow it everywhere, but there's so many different styles, and it takes on the elements and characters of where it's from. For me, Margaret River or WA Shiraz tends to have a bit more of a tannic backbone to it.
And red fruits.
Lots of red fruits. And probably in that sort of medium-bodied spectrum style of Shiraz, but it still has a nice little savoury finish to it. But again, you've still got that lovely pepper and spice to it.
Maybe not quite as impressive as the 07, but still really lovely poise.
It's a backup vintage.
Oh no, it's fantastic. And it's also got a lot of lifted florals and violets and stuff like that. Stuff we get a little bit weak in the knees for. Lots of spice. 94 points, maybe a little 94 plus. And then we get to move to the Big Daddy. Now for me, I get to talk about this one.
Yes.
Because you know how much I love this wine.
You love this wine.
This is an 05 Cabernet. 05 was a terrific vintage, but it's actually been held back. And of course, so it gets to us in the marketplace in absolutely mint condition for us to enjoy them. It has all of the classic cassis, cedar, cigar box, you know, beautiful texture, lovely tannin, but it's also got this beautiful aromatic lift. Now, this will age gracefully. I mean, we're talking a 25-year wine that is so beautifully concentrated, yet it's not at all heavy. And this is the essence of great wine, and a great wine from Voyager Estate is that the wines are good from day dot all the way through to when you get to enjoy them, even if it's further down the track. 97 points, Dan.
Woo!
97 points. I'm going out there.
I would almost go, so I think that's one of the highest pointed wines we've actually done
It is.
so far in all these programs. But again, there's something about it, there's roundness to it, there's structure and finesse, and it's together. Like there's the tannins there, but it's integrated with all the fruit.
And it's silky fine tannin too. It's not the chunky stuff. So
it's
really,
medium
really
bodied again, but not too heavy, but just rounded, really fantastic wine.
So it's a Voyager celebration. And Voyager Estate, really, the wines are terrific. They're a great go-to wine if you're in a bit of a quandary as to who to buy from the West. Voyager Estate wines, fantastic. Thank you very much, Dan.
We'll see you next time.
We will
Cheers.
indeed.